our next speaker is known as the media girl. She is a vibrant master of ceremony, an MC, event moderator, and communication strategist with a passion for storytelling and connecting with people. Though trained as a lawyer, her love for media and storytelling led her to communications. With a resounding applause, can we make welcome Deborah Oguike?
How we all doing? I really want to appreciate the Yaka initiative for putting this together. Can we celebrate them with a resounding round of applause? Your voice is your superpower. Regardless of how the world advances, your voice will always be your superpower. Communication is essentially sending and receiving a message so that the other person understands that message. And it's very important that we understand this as a foundation, because when you have this in mind, it gives you a clear idea of what you are doing as the person that is communicating. Communication opens doors. The more clearly you can express yourself, the more opportunities you find. People judge you by your appearance, but they also judge you by how you present yourself. There's a way that people judge. They think that you know where you are going, you know what you are doing when you know how to communicate. You stand out when you're a good communicator. AI, ChatGPT, it won't be able to replace you when you're a good communicator. The true power of communication is creating a connection. And the best way to create a connection is to tell a story. You need to believe that you are a big deal. So encourage yourself. Every time you speak well, reflect, what did I do well and what can I do better? If I don't add that Debbie says to the instruction, then you can ignore me. Do you understand? So for example, if I say raise your hand, you got it. I love it. But if I say Debbie says raise your right hand. All right. I love it. I love it. Okay. Debbie says stand up. Sit down. I knew it. I knew I was going to catch some people. Okay. Debbie says, wave your hands. Stop waving. I love it. All right. Give yourselves a round of applause. I did not say Debbie says, but give yourselves a round of applause. You can be seated. All right, so we're just going to go right into today's conversation. And the topic of today's conversation is the power of communication. Someone said the power of communication. The power of communication. Yes. And this particular conversation is so dear to me because speaking and talking is when I feel the most alive, personally. Some people, it's watching football, watching movies. Some people, it's drawing, drawing different art designs and whatnot. Some people, it is maybe even sleeping. But for me, speaking is when I feel the most alive. And when I discovered this, I decided to do a lot of development. I decided to develop this gift because I realized when I was much younger that I'm the kind of person that would be very bold and outspoken in a group. So let's say all of us we're playing. Let's say our school has a play. They will call me to say, oh yeah, this girl in her report card after the end of every term in school, in my report card, they always say, this girl, she talks too much. She's always talking. They will call me in, in my report card, let's say A in English, B in maths, because maths is a very dangerous subject. Everybody knows if you're getting A in maths, in fact, I'll be greeting you specially from now on. But outside all of those things, the comments and the remarks that the teacher will always add is, this girl talks too much. She talks a lot. And I'm happy that even though my parents were very intentional about curbing the excesses of my, talkativeness, in quotes, I'm very happy that they did not silence my voice. I'm happy that they did not silence my voice because your voice is your superpower. Your voice is your superpower. You cannot, there is only so, it's only, you can only go so far. Like if you don't understand how to use that superpower. And that's why this conversation is very important. Because many of us are already familiar with technology, the different developments of technology, especially the most famous AI, right? And the world is always talking about AI, ChatGPT, this, that. But the truth is, regardless of how the world advances, your voice will always be your superpower. Regardless of how big the world gets, how explosive technology gets, your voice will always be your superpower. So today we're going to talk about the power of communication. Our MC already introduced me, but I'll give you 3 main things that you need to know about me before we go into the next slide. The first thing about me is that I am a non-practicing lawyer. I studied law at the University of Lagos, and it was in my 400 level that I realized that I don't really know that I want to do this. I had interned at different law firms, I had tried my hands on it and all of that, and I really wanted to be a lawyer. It was not one of those cases where your parents say, you must study law. It was actually a passion of mine. Maybe I was watching all these series and thinking that, these are to be, in Nigeria courtroom, you wear wig, you wear gown, you sweat from morning to night. Even though that's not all law is about, but at that moment I realized that I don't really want to study. I don't want to practice this thing that I studied, but what will I do? And prior to then, I had been, engaging in different forms of speaking activities. So I was in press club in secondary school. So every Friday we'll stand and we'll read news. Before we read news, we'll research. That time, I don't know if people will still listen to radio. I'm sure nobody here listens to radio. But that year, oh my gosh, I used to listen to radio. I would tune to it. You have to wait for 7 o'clock news because assembly is by 8 o'clock. So by 7 o'clock, my mates were sleeping, hustling bread and tea. Me, I was listening to radio, palito. That's what they used to call it that time. Listening to radio so that I could hear the sports gist, the entertainment gist, current affairs, and present it by 8 o'clock on Fridays. And I did that every morning because by Friday you need to have a good headline set of news that everybody will be interested in. That you come and tell them what does not concern them, right? So I studied law, and then I realized that was not something I wanted to do. So I started asking myself, okay, what do I want to do next? And I started asking myself, what are my interests? What are the things that come naturally to me? And this might be helpful for somebody that is also in that phase. Maybe you feel like you want to study a particular course, or you studied a particular course and you don't know whether that's what you want to practice with. So that's one thing you need to know about me. I'm a non-practicing lawyer. I still went through ahead with it. I finished school 5 years, glory to God. Even though it was almost 6 years because federal school, Nigeria, to happen to you. But then I went to do law school, and then I was called to the Nigerian bar. So that's the first thing to know about me. Then the next thing to know about me is that I am a full-time media strategist, right? So for my 9 to 5, I have a boss, I have my employer, and so from 9 o'clock to 5, in fact, right now, they're probably sending me work emails. So I work in a media company. And I work as an audience engagement and growth person. So basically what I do is I make sure everyone knows about what we do, and I make sure everyone likes what we do as a company. So that's really what I do for my 9 to 5. That's what pays my salary. This is the end of the month. I'm so happy. I'm so good. In fact, I'm excited. And then the third thing to know about me is that I'm a part-time talkative. Yes. MC, some people call it MC, some people call it mic. I'm a mic woman, media girl. So my 5 to 9, I said 9 to 5, right? For the first one. So this one is my 5 to 9. So that's from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'm on a stage like this one, emceeing events, corporate, and social events. So those are like the main three things about me. But one thing that drives me, with regards to this conversation, and one of the reasons why I was very excited to be here, is because I realized that most of you are at where I was when I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And one of the things that really, really changed or helped me make those decisions and really changed my life forever was a meeting like this, right? It was a workshop about speaking, about public speaking, that really made me understand that this is a path that I could actually go on for myself. So on that note, I really want to appreciate the Yaka Initiative for putting this together. Can we celebrate them with a resounding round of applause? We can do better. Thank you so much for your investment in the lives of these ones. I'm sure that's going to count. I'm sure that they're going to be such amazing, amazing additions to the society after this event and even just going forward. I know that these are seeds that are being planted and they will bear fruit. So thank you so much for this initiative. Please, can we celebrate them one more time? All right, so now let's get into the gist of today. The first way I'll ask the question is, what does communication even mean? What does communication even mean? And I want to open this up. I want this session to be very interactive. I know that a lot of us have been listening to different things, but I want to hear from you. What do you think communication means? When you hear the word communication, what comes to your mind? Anybody? Okay, somebody at the back. You tell me your name and then you give me the answer. Do we have another mic? Is there a second mic? Or should I pass? Okay. Okay, there's a mic there. What does communication even mean? Tell me your name.
My name is Bumi.
Bumi. Hi, Bumi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, what does communication mean?
Communication can be defined as the processing of transforming messages from one person to another.
Okay, I love that. Can we give her a round of applause? She said, transforming messages from one person to another. Correct. Who else can give me? Okay. When she answers, I want boys this time. Yes, so all the boys, please. Okay. Tell me your name. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Blessing K.
Hi, Blessing.
Hi, Ma. Communication, to my own understanding, can be defined as the sending and receiving of information for purpose of understanding.
I like that. Sending and receiving information for the purpose of understanding. That's very correct. Does anyone else have something to add? I want from a guy this time. Okay, thank you. So Bumi and Blessing have spoken well.
My name is Oreolua.
Hi, Oreolua. I like your smile.
Thank you. So communication is passing information, passing a message, and not just passing the message. The receiver must be able to get what you are trying to say.
Yes.
So if the receiver is not getting it, it's not
communication.
Yes.
Wow, you are scholars. Please give yourselves a round, hype each other with that applause. Make some noise, add some woo, woo, woo to it. Yes. People have taken all my slides. I don't have anything to say again. I'm joking, but that's correct. I love the way that three of them have balanced it out. She started with transforming one message from one person to another. Then Blessing took it a step further. She said, for the purpose of understanding. Then Oreolua also said that the other person has to receive what you've said. If not, communication has not happened. So that's correct. Communication is essentially sending and receiving a message so that the other person understands that message. Giving and receiving information. That's it in a simple way. So it is passing across ideas, thoughts, feelings. That is communication. And it's very important that we understand this as a foundation, because when you have this in mind, it gives you a clear idea of of what you are doing as the person that is communicating. As the person that is communicating, you are passing across a message. You are passing across a feeling. You are passing across a thought. But let me tell you something that is also very key about communication, and it rounds up all of what we have said. Communication must create connection. Communication must create connection. That means, just like the summary of what we said, that for me to give you one idea and for you to receive that idea, there has to be, for communication to have happened, there has to be a connection. You have to relate with what I'm saying. For example, if I come to this stage and all of us are English speaking, but I start speaking French, I have not communicated, right? Because you've not connected with what I'm saying. I'm going somewhere. Before we now get into how to communicate or how you can communicate better, I want to address why communication matters. Why does communication matter? And it's three things. One, communication opens doors. It opens doors. So, it opens doors. I'll just list the three things I have here. It opens doors, it builds confidence, and it shapes perception. It opens doors, it builds confidence, and it shapes perception. Let me tell you a story about one time when I was in my company. We were hiring someone. There was a vacancy, there was a new position that, had opened up, and we were looking to hire somebody. And when you put out job vacancy posts, that's one of the most, in fact, people, you get so many shares, everybody sharing to their friends. That's the best post to see, like, job vacancy, especially if you're job searching. And so we got a lot of applications. People with their CVs. Some people were even messaging me, please, this, that. And in the process of finding somebody that will fill up that role, some people moved. After you look at their CV, you see if they match what you are trying to achieve in the company. Then you now, You now call them next for the next stage, for the interview stage, right? Let me tell you that the difference between the person that we did not hire, or the people that we did not hire, and the people that we hired is communication. Do you understand where I'm going with this? The difference between the people that applied and the person that eventually got the job was communication. She was able to communicate. She was able to present herself in a way that matched what we were looking for. She was able to create a connection with our needs as a company. So we were like, yes, she's the person for the job. So when I say communication opens doors, it shapes perception and it builds confidence, it shows that the more clearly you can express yourself, the more opportunities you find. The more clearly you can express yourself, the more opportunities you find. People in this life, people judge you by your appearance, but they also judge you by how you present yourself. Have you ever met somebody that, even if you don't understand what they are saying, those people that know how to blow big grammar, like Patutomi. Who knows Patutomi? Does anybody know Patutomi? This politician that will say the agradocious, bravadocious. You know the type of people that when you talk to them, you must have a dictionary with you, or your Google must be open. If not, you will not understand anything they are saying. But there's a way that they will speak that thing that even if you don't understand, you'll be finding yourself doing, You'll be saying, you'll be nodding. If they ask you after, what did they say? If your neighbor should say, I didn't get that. What did he say? You will just be looking. That he just said what he said was deep. It was deep. Because there's a way that people they think that you know where you are going, you know what you are doing, when you know how to communicate. When you know how to speak well, when you know how to carry yourself, when you speak with confidence, they are more likely to believe what you are saying. They are more likely to trust you and listen to what you have to say. Do you guys agree? So that's why communication is so important? It's so important because in this world that we are in, that technology is taking over, you stand out when you're a good communicator. AI or ChatGPT, it won't be able to replace you when you're a good communicator. When you know how to speak well, when you can offer and deliver a presentation with so much confidence and clarity, you'll find yourself just attracting different kinds of opportunities. That's why this conversation is very, very important. So I said communication does 3 things. What did I say? The first one is, the second one is, and the third one is, yes, it opens doors, it opens you up to more opportunities. It builds confidence because the more clearly you can express yourself, the less afraid you feel. Because if you can communicate clearly, even you'll be having a kind of boldness everywhere that you go. And then it shapes perception in the sense that if you can communicate well, people will see you as a smart person, they will see you as a capable person, and they will trust you. So that's why this conversation, you need to pay rapt attention. So now we are going to go to how can you learn to communicate better? And this is where my main submission is for this presentation. You remember that I said that communication is about creating a connection, right? Do you remember? So the question is, what is the best way to create a connection? What is the best way to create a connection? I'm going to give some examples, right? But I'll ask you this question. What is the best way that you have received a kind of message, like that a message has stuck with you? Okay. When it is relatable, right? Okay. Who else? Okay. Storytelling. Somebody has peeped into my notes. Okay. She said storytelling. He said when it is relatable. Correct. In fact, give both of them a round of applause. The true power of communication is creating a connection. And the best way to create a connection is to tell a story. The true power of communication is to create a connection. And the best way to create a connection is to tell a story. See, the best public speakers are just very good storytellers. Do you guys agree with me? How many of us have ever heard Obama give a speech before? Or how many of us, former President Obama, what did you like about it? Who wants to share? Okay. His confidence. He was outspoken. Okay. Who else? He speaks well. Correct. But what about the message that, he says? What makes it stick? The stories. Correct. So this is what I want to do. This is the picture I want to paint. Like I said, the best public speakers are really just very good storytellers. So the best way to communicate better is to learn how to tell a good story. Is to learn how to deliver a good story. That's the best way to communicate. So when I put in my notes here, I put a couple of stories that have stuck with me. When we were younger, at least when I was younger, if I'm still small. It's still small. So, but there's this famous story. I don't know if anybody, maybe let me not assume. Maybe you actually know the story. The story of the elephant and the ants. Does anybody know of the story of the elephant and the ants? Wow, I'm surprised though, so I'm not that old. Okay, so the story of the elephant and the ants. Okay, so what do you remember about that story? Who can tell me? There's no wrong answer, don't worry. Yeah, don't be shy. What can you remember about that story? Okay, wait, the mic. Let's hear the gist so that to be sweet.
The elephant is feeling big. He's behaving as if he can do everything, whereas he cannot do anything. Whereby the ant went through his nostrils and entered his nostrils. He was disturbing him till he cannot do anything. Then the ant now came out. Was not like
yes, please give a round of applause. That's correct. So the story was the elephant was feeling very proud, right? Feeling big because he's an elephant. He's big. He's one of the big animals, right? So he was feeling like, I'm bigger than anybody. He was bullying all the other animals, right? And the ant is so small, so tiny. And it felt like, the elephant felt like the ant was insignificant. And so the ant proved to him that you are not, as small as I am, I can end you. So he now crawled up to his trunk, that big trunk, and disturbed the elephant until the elephant crashed, right? Why did I give that example? Because see how she remembered that story. She didn't remember the entirety of it, but she remembered the lesson behind that story, right? That no matter how big you are, you don't know everything. You can't do everything on your own. Everybody has an important part to play. Another very famous story is the story of David and Goliath. How many of us know the story of David and Goliath? It's a similar story too, right? So the Goliath was bragging, nobody, bring out your best soldiers, your best people. Nobody can beat me. And with a tiny stone, David conquered Goliath, right? What did that story tell us? Of course, it taught us a lot of lessons about faith, about confidence, about boldness, and then, of course, the other side about pride and all of that. Then there's the story of Joseph and Potiphar's wife. Who knows the story? Okay, yes. So all of these stories have lessons inside of them, right? That whenever people want to teach us the lessons, they end up using those stories to paint pictures so that it will stick. Are you following where I'm going? So when it comes to public speaking and communication, it really is just glorified storytelling. It's really just you learning how to tell a story. And so today, I'm going to show you the building blocks of a story. For you to become a good public speaker, for you to become a good communicator, an effective communicator, you have to be a good storyteller. You have to learn how to communicate what you are, a message, in a way that will stick. You know how we said that communication is creating connection. It means that communication can only happen when the person that is receiving that information has gotten it. Because if you just keep sending something and there's nobody receiving it, communication has not happened. So if we are saying that communication is creating a connection, then the best way to create a connection is to tell a story. Then that means the best way to become a good communicator is to become a good storyteller. You see the mathematics that I did now? So you understand, right? So now we are going to go to the building blocks of a story. And it is what I have called 5 W's and 1 H. Say it with me. Say 5 W's and 1 H. So every great story answers these 6 simple questions. Who? What? Who? Where? When? And why? And how? Yes, correct. Who? What? Why? When? Where? And how? So the first W is who. Who? And this is very important because So as someone like me, like I MC events, right? I host events, like what our MC was doing. I stand, whether it's a formal event, a conference, a book launch, even a church event, a concert. Regardless of the setting, the event, the occasion, the ceremony, there will be people there, right? People will be there. Even if it is virtual, even if it's online, even if it is an Instagram live or anything, there will be people on the other side, right? So a good communicator, a good public speaker understands who they are speaking to. Understands who their audience is. Understands what their audience interests are. So I'll give examples. So right now, today, I'm speaking to young people. So I understand that most of the information that they gave me before I got here was, okay, the people that I'm speaking to, they are young, they are between the ages of 15 to 25, they are at this stage of life, some of them are about to enter school, some of them are in school already, some of them will soon graduate from school. So that information that I got was helpful to know how I'm going to communicate to you guys, right? So for example, if I go to a conference that has very maybe technical people, experts, I may not sound like this to them, right? I may not be saying you guys, I may not say Omo, I may not say God I beg, I may not say who did this bit for me, or all of those things. I may not say all these things because my audience does not resonate with your audience. A good communicator, just like the example that he gave, he said that it was relatable. A good, like something that sticks, a message that sticks is a message that is relatable, right? For something to be relatable, the people have to feel seen. Do you understand? So if for you want to be a good communicator, you must first ask and understand, who am I going to speak to? See, before I continue, let me emphasize this. This conversation is important because communication is a skill, like I said, that will open doors for you, that will take you far and wide, that would expose you to people and places that will cause you to even just make an impact with your life. If you learn how to communicate well, you will be a success. Regardless of the stage of life, regardless of the pattern of life you choose. So even if you want to be a doctor, even if you want to be a lawyer, or even if you don't want to relate to people, you want to be a software developer, you want to be, one of those things, you will still talk to people in one way or the other. In fact, right now we are constantly communicating with people, right? The difference is we are communicating with them on maybe smaller stages, smaller scales, one-on-one. So it's not as frightening or as it's not as frightening, it's not as scary. But the truth is, a good communicator understands who they are speaking to. So the first thing when you want to defeat this fear of public speaking, fear of communicating, is find out who you are speaking to. Find out what they care about. So for example, if I go to University of Lagos and I want to start a speech, for me to really, really connect with them, I can start by saying, greatest Akokites, and they will respond, great. Greatest of the greatest of the greatest Akokites, and they will respond, great. But if I go to Germany, University of Germany, for example, and I go there, and I say, greatest Akokites, what do you think will happen? They'll be like, who is this local champion? Where did she come from? Did anybody not tell her where she's going to? Because I did not research my audience. I did not find out who are the people I'm speaking to. So when you understand who, that's the first step of overcoming that fear. That's the first step of overcoming that, that nervousness that you feel when you want to speak on stage. If you humanize, if you just humanize the people that are speaking, that, okay, they cannot beat me, right? They cannot beat me, they cannot shout at me. The worst thing they can do is look at me. But if I want to connect with them, I must find out who they are. What's their age? What's their nationality? Are they students? Are they Nigerians? Are they in Lagos? Are they undergraduates? Are they experts? That will determine what kind of stories you're going to share. That will determine what kind of experiences. It will even determine your energy level. So imagine if you're talking to people that just lost a loved one, and you come and say, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you give yourselves a round of applause?" What do you think will happen? They will stone you shoe. Somebody said they will stone you shoe. They will just off your mic immediately. They'll say, "Who is that person? Off a mic, take her from that stage." Because you do not understand who you are speaking to. So one of the greatest ways and the first steps, like I said, we're talking about the building blocks of a story. The building blocks of communication is who? Who is your audience? Who am I speaking to? Who are they? It covers their age, like I said. It covers where they are, their stage of life. It covers their interests. So the first step is who. Then, the next step is why. Sorry, to what? Let's go to what. What is the core? Answering the question what is you finding out the core of what you are saying, the goal of what you're about to say. Right? What's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to get them to think, to really think about their lives? Or are you trying to get them to maybe be more grateful? Are you trying to get them to reflect? Are you trying to get them to be excited, to be happy? Are you trying to get them to wake up? What are you trying to say? Do you understand? What is the call? Once you define it, it makes it easier for you to communicate. So if you find out, okay, I want to talk about how jollof rice is better than fried rice, for example. That's your message. Your message is that when you eat jollof, you will know you will be so excited, you will know that life is good. But when you eat fried rice, it will spoil tomorrow if you don't put it inside the fridge. So that's your message, right? So one of the ways to defeat that feeling of nerves and fear of public speaking is just define, what do you want to say? And this applies across board. It applies maybe when you want to even maybe shoot a video, maybe you want to start creating content online. The first thing is to say, what do I want to say in this video? So if I give you a mic now, for example, and I give you a topic where I say, give me, what is one thing you can talk about without preparation? And you just tell me, I can talk about football. I think it was Man U that played yesterday. Who watches football? Man U played yesterday, right? And they lost. Chai. So if I tell somebody now to come and tell me why Man U is better than Chelsea, or why Arsenal is better than Chelsea, you first think about it. Okay, what are my 3 points? Okay, I want to talk about the coach, I want to talk about their skills, I want to talk about how many goals they've scored this season. So you just need to define it. So sometimes these things they are so scary because we've not broken it down. So when you break it down, when you want to communicate, the first thing is, after you found out who you're talking to, maybe you're talking to people that are Arsenal fans, or people that are generally that they generally love football, so they know a lot about football. So you can come and give them statistics. You can say, look at the books, all these things, look at the evidence. No need for cho, evidence plenty. Look at this and that. You are able to talk because they can relate with what you are saying, right? But then you now define it. What is the core of what I am saying? This is important because, hey, can you still hear me? Yes. Should I continue? Yes. Okay. This is important because it helps you manage time and it helps you defeat that fear when you are prepared with what you want to say. Then the next W is why. Why? Why should the people care about what you want to say? Why should they care about what you want to say? So this why is important because you must now find out, what do these people care about? What's their pain point? See, regardless of, so for example, as someone like me, I host events, different kinds of events. So for example, if I'm hosting a book launch, like someone is launching a book about maybe personal branding or finding your identity or something like that, and the goal of the the goal of the event is for them to sell more books, right? There's a way that I will communicate to the people. There's a way I will say certain things. I'll talk about the benefits of the book. I'll talk about what the book covers. I will talk about chapter 5 of the book, chapter 6 of the book. Just give them snippets and say, oh, look at what, and I'll talk about what other people have said about the book, so that people would connect with that book and they want to buy. So, the first three W's I've said is who, what, and why. Why should they care about what you have to say? Why are you the person that is appropriate and perfect to speak on that topic? So the reason why the Yaka people called me here is because I already speak publicly. I host events, right? So when if there's anybody to talk about communication, it's somebody that already communicates on a day-to-day basis. So you need to tell the people why you are the best person for that conversation, and you need to also show them why you are the best person for that conversation. Are we following? Are we still here? Okay. So the next W, and I'll match the two of them together, is when and where. When and where. So when and where answers the question of context, right? What is the environment? What's the moment? Where am I? Where am I going to have that conversation? And this thing, why is so important? Because it even tells you the outfit to wear. If you know where you are going, you know how you should dress to that place. If you know when you will come up, you know what time you should get there, and all those things, right? It's very important because all these little things, they add to the feeling of nervousness and add to that belief that you feel like, oh, I don't know how to speak publicly, or I'm afraid of public speaking, or I have stage fright. See, let me tell you one number one hack. If you look good, anywhere that you go to, your confidence is going to increase times 100%. If you feel comfortable. So I've hosted an event where I went to go and wear one unfortunate pair of shoes. Just because of beauty. I went to go and wear this shoe that at some point in the event, and the thing is, the event now ran long. You know how Nigerians can be. They will not come on time. Even if the people are ready, people will not come. People will come late. So the event was supposed to end at 2. By 4 o'clock, we were still there. There was a point where the way I was even doing my face, you would think that somebody stole my money because the shoe was paining. Just because of shoe, because the shoe was paining me. So if I had known that, oh, this way I'm going, this is most likely what will happen, I'll wear comfortable shoes. In fact, regardless of where you're going, please wear comfortable shoes everywhere you go. But if you know where you're going, if you're going to a place that is very, very, very hot, like the AC is not working, you will know that you wear lighter clothes so that you don't sweat. Because let me tell you, you think it's not important until you have been in that hall for 4 hours and it's not time for you to speak. No matter the practice that you have done, you just be there. The meaning of communication is that, or you will even just look at them and you'll not be able to say anything. Because because you are dehydrated, you are hot, you are uncomfortable, you've been sweating. So the where and the when, the environment of what you are going, these are little things that will actually just help you defeat that fear of public speaking. Just ask questions. Where is it going to happen? Who is going to be there? Why are these people coming? What time will I be going up? How much time do I have? What time of the year is it? Sometimes, if you really dig deep even into these questions, you will find that there are some things you will not even say because of the condition of maybe the economy. There are some jokes you will not crack. There are some things you will not say because you've understood the setting, the environment, the timing. You know, have you ever had a friend that does not know how to read the room? Oh my God. They will just come to you, you're in your room, one corner of the bed. You are with your phone, maybe you just, go for it. You saw your results, your JAM results, or your WAEC results, or your results from that term, and it's giving E for excellence. It did not score. You scored E for excellence. And you're in the corner of the room, and your friend just comes, hey, see, you don't even know what's happened there. So that's how I went to this way, and I went to the market, and I now saw a tortoise, and then the tortoise now climbed on the horse, and then when I now entered, then the horse now entered traffic, and then I was not talking traffic, and then I was wondering what causes of traffic, and I know that, there was this head of cows that was passing the road, and the road said, don't listen to me, what did I say last? Just be looking at them now, what was this one saying? Because they cannot read the room. They don't understand that this is not the right time for this gist. But imagine if they came when you were like, when you were frying plantain. Hey, they said I don't have time again. 3. Hey, okay, let me hurry. You will just be, people like, a tortoise. Wow, you'll be answering the person, right? Because that's the mood you are in. So regardless of when you are given an opportunity to speak, it is important to test the temperature of the room. Check what's happening. And even before you get there, what is the timing of maybe the economy? What season are we in? Are we in election season? Are we in a football season? Are we in like a hot season? Those are the things that would actually contribute to how you pass across that message and for it to connect with your audience. So I'm going to rush now because we're supposed to do a practice test. So that's when and where, right? It pulls your audience in. It pulls the people that are listening to. Where did it happen? When did it happen? Right? If you want to give a story, for example. And the thing is that it helps people paint a picture. So most of the things I've said today are stories. I didn't really give you facts. Imagine if I said, 15% of people, 20% of people, you might be like, oh yeah, nice facts. But the truth is, for me to really connect with you, for your story to really stick, you have to paint pictures with stories. And the way to paint pictures is to give specific details, like where did it happen, when did it happen, how did it happen. It makes your conversation and your communication more colorful. And then how? I already touched a little bit on how. So how is the takeaway? How is the main point that you want people to apply when they go home? So if you want to be a good communicator, you have said, you've already known who you are talking to. And even in telling the story, you know, okay, who is this person I'm speaking to? What? You know your what? You know your why? You know your where? You know your when? Then how is now that final take home points? Is that thing that they're going to hold on to and say, okay, when I go back home, I want them to take away this thing from this thing that I have shared. So at this point, before we do the practice, I just want to give you quick tips. The first thing, just simple anchors, 3 things. The first one is breathe. Like actually just breathe. Can we practice it? Can we do a little exercise, a breathing exercise? Can we breathe in to your lungs, to your chest is up, do it. And breathe out. Breathe in one more time. And breathe out. Do you feel better? You feel better, right? You don't feel better. You don't do it well. You are doing it like an angry, hungry politician. That's why you did. But if you do it before you speak on any stage or to anyone, just take a deep breath. Like intentionally take a deep breath. Then the next thing is, I already talked a bit about this, the structure of what you're saying, your message. What's the beginning of your message? What's the middle of your message? What's the end? If you want to speak on stage. The next thing is to connect. But before you even connect, after you've done your breathing and you found out what you want to say, it is very important to practice and prepare. It's very important to practice and prepare, because most of the time, fear is as a result of the lack of preparation. If I tell anybody now to recite the letters of the alphabet, you won't be afraid. Will you be afraid? No, because you already know it. You already know A to Z. You can say it in your sleep. So when you prepare well and you practice what you want to say, some of us, the problem is that we take things so lightly. We are not taking things so seriously. So you will just feel like, so you will be afraid. But if you actually take time to say, if they tell you, especially if they give you notice, they tell you that, okay, tomorrow we are going to give this speech, or you are going to do this thing at the office. Because the truth is, some of us, we are young now, but we're not going to be young forever, right? We're going to start getting into doing interviews. For example, job interview, that's the first test. Do you know that you should prepare and practice how you answer for job interviews? Do you know that you should actually practice? See, there are some job interviews that, especially if, every job interview has common questions that they will ask you. Tell me about yourself is one that they will always ask you. So the reason why some people fumble job interviews is because they just go to the, and that's the first time they are answering that question. Like if someone should ask you, tell me about yourself, and you've not thought about it before, it will be difficult for you to articulate what you're saying. Before you before you know it, you go and make a grammatical error and you'll be looking at you like that. So it is important that even for job, I'm wrapping up shortly. But even for job interviews, for presentations, it's important that you practice what you want to say. Especially for opportunities that you're going to speak on stage and you've been told ahead of time. Let that time not be the first time that you are delivering that message. Are we following? So it's important that you actually learn to practice what you want to say. Stand in front of your mirror. Actually look, it works. It really does work. Right? Think about how you're going to start what you say. Will you start with a question? Will you start with a story? Will you start with a fun fact? How will you start? How will you continue? It's not that you'll be a robot and you now write down every single thing you want to say. And you know, when you cram something and you don't remember, and the thing should just fly from your head. You know, when you're writing exams and you're cramming something, you don't want anybody to talk to you. Nobody should shake you because you don't want the things that you've crammed. You don't want to forget. No, it's not like that. It's just so that you are more confident and flexible when you are now answering the job interview questions or you are giving that speech on that stage for any reason, right? So it's important that you practice. And then another thing is have eye contact, smile. What is your posture? What is your energy? What's the your composure like? If I came to this stage and I just started doing like this. So the thing about communication, you will not even want to listen to what I have to say because you don't want to be like me. Because the truth is, when you are communicating, people are like they are seeing themselves in you. Do you understand? They are seeing themselves in you. So if you come to a job interview, for example, to maybe you're going to give a presentation at work, or you are going to give maybe opening remarks, maybe for a school presentation, something happening in school, and I tell you that you're the one that's going to open the event, you give an opening remark, maybe you're part of the organizing committee, and you smile, you stand firm, you gesticulate properly. I'm going to recommend a particular video. I'll probably send the link. I don't know if there's a community that you guys are on, but I'll send the link. It's one of the videos that changed my life. It's like the 110 techniques of communication. The person literally broke down the meanings of some hand gestures that we display. Like, for example, one of the things I learned from that video is that when you are swaying like this, when you are talking, is a sign of nervousness. It's a sign that you're not sure what you're going to say next. So people are distracted by what you are doing, and how that what your hand gestures are doing must emphasize what you are saying. So, for example, if you want to say one thing, do you see how that makes you listen? One thing. Imagine if I say one thing that you should know. It will not stick compared to one thing that you should know. Do you see the exactly? You'll be like, who brought this? Who brought this speaker? Who is that person? But if you come and say, so the very things, so I'm going to talk to you about two things. Do you see how that emphasizes what I want to say? So that's another thing to practice. When you practice, you know where to put your hands. Some of us, we don't know where to put our hands when we are speaking. So when you practice, when you're practicing, you learn how to connect. You know at what point to smile. It's not every time in the speech that you'll be smiling. If you're talking about Chibok girls or somebody being kidnapped, you're not start shining your teeth. In Nigeria, the kidnapping rate is 50% and you're shining your teeth. What's funny? Do you understand? You're not connecting, you're not communicating. So it's important that you practice those little things. You practice how you're going to say it, the pace, your intonation, your pace. If you want to get people to be riled up, to be excited, you say, I want you. You know how when pastors are preaching, they'll switch up at some point in the sermon, and you'll be like, even you, from your chair, you just want to shout and rejoice. Do you see what I did? But if I tell you that you should walk into a room and look around, everybody's silent because there's suspense. You are seeing that. So these are the techniques, the little things that practicing will help you. So knowing the hand gestures, knowing the pace. Do you see what I just did? It's called the pause. Sometimes one of the things that will help us as communicators is when you stop saying I, like, and so, because those are what we call filler words. Instead of filler words, just pause. If you find yourself about to say like again or again, just pause for just count 3 seconds in your mind. Just count 3 seconds in your mind, and you realize that you're not going to say that. It's not going to disappear automatically. To connect to people, I mentioned your eye contact, your smiling, your energy, the pace through which you are delivering that message, right? The pause, deep breaths, I've talked about it. And one very important thing, I'll just use this to wrap up, is whenever you give a speech, whenever you find yourself, you've given a speech, you've delivered a presentation, always think about what you did well. So this was given to me by one of my mentors, and it changed my life because I'm the kind of person that can be very hard on myself. I can be very critical. Some of us, we are kinder to our friends than we are kinder to ourselves. Like you're so quick to say, you shouldn't have said that, you shouldn't have said to yourself. But when you give a speech, when you're opportunity to say so, think about what did I do well. If you think about that as opposed to, see, I didn't do this well, I didn't think about, because when you change that perspective, how can I do this better? That's a different perspective. The next time you are building trust and confidence in yourself, you are believing in yourself, and that's very important because your mindset is a good foundation for you to be a good communicator. So every time you deliver a speech, every time you deliver a presentation, every time you speak publicly, whatever reason, just ask yourself, what are the 3 things you did well? And pat yourself on the back for that. Say that I like the way you started. I like that when you made a mistake, you didn't stop, you just continued. I like that you didn't say 10 times, you only said it 5. I like that is you assuring and affirming yourself and pouring back into yourself. Think about talking to yourself the same way you talk to your friends. If you're talking to your friends, you don't call them stupid or you are just a failure. You don't say that to your friends, do you? If you're a good friend, right? You don't say that. You encourage them. So encourage yourself. If you're a good friend, very important. So encourage yourself. Every time you speak well, reflect, what did I do well and what can I do better? So I think I'll end here. So, do we have any questions for me? This is the part where I will take questions. Do you have any questions about anything? Not just what I said. Okay, yes, there's someone. Okay, somebody also has. Are you raising your hand? Are you stretching? Okay. Please tell me your name.
Good afternoon.
Good
My name is
afternoon.
Khadija.
Hi,
I wanted to
Khadija.
ask that the 5 W's and the 1H, like, how can you do it better when you are trying to get people to take an action?
How can you do it better when you're trying to get people to take an action? So, for example, if I want people to, let me think of something. If I want people to be more intentional about fitness, for example, I'll break down if I'm to give a speech or I want to record a video or I want to, I'll break it down. Who are the people I'm speaking to? I'll first ask myself, who are people am I speaking to? Are there people that are students that can afford to, are there people that are professionals that can afford to, for a gym subscription, for example? Or are there students that they don't have pocket money like that? So you know that, okay, those are the people you're speaking to, right? Then the next thing is, why is it important? Why is fitness important? What are the benefits that it will give to that person? Then you ask yourself, okay, when and where at what point in the speech, if you're giving a speech, for example, or if you're, okay, of course, for example, if it's a video, it's on Instagram. Is it on Instagram? Is it on TikTok? Is it on LinkedIn? Like those are the things that will affect like how you present the information, right? And then what is that one thing that they can do immediately after they listen to you? So if you use that, you can use it as a framework to craft what you want to say. Does that help? So if you start with that, you now make it like, okay, my name is this, and maybe you say a story of somebody that you knew that used to be I'm trying to think of, maybe had a health condition because their cholesterol levels were high. Just you tell a story that you feel like they can relate to, or they were not able to write their exams because they are 19, but they had a heart attack because their cholesterol levels were high. And then for that story, everybody's like, Jesus, I have exam next week. Before you know it, they will start running the next. Do you understand? So you frame it like that. It will just help you to have a more structured speech or a structured what you want to say. Okay. All right. Somebody that he had his hand raised.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ain Divine.
Okay.
First and foremost, I would like to say thank you very much. I really appreciate it. How do you project without shouting? Because most times I would want to project, then I would find out that I'm actually shouting instead of projecting. Thank you.
Wow, that's a very good question. Because I can relate. Because there used to be a point where I would host one event, and if there's another event that day, my voice has gone. And I had a mic. So because especially if it is like a concert or an event with young people that is not a conference, like a more fun event where you have to put a lot of energy in what you're saying so that people can be excited. And I used to lose my voice a lot because I used to shout. And somebody I hosted an event with him once, and I realized that we hosted the same events together and it was fine. Like the next day we spoke, my own voice was sounding like a frog. He was okay. And I asked him, like, how can I speak up without shouting? And one of the things that helped me is, I'll say a couple of things. But first thing I did was, first thing he told me was that you should learn to speak from your stomach, not your truth. So let me explain. So like, if you want to sound, I'm trying to think of a way for us to practice it. So if you sound like if you want to shout from your throat, let's say I'm saying lights, camera, action. Do you see that that's my throat? You can even hear the stretch of my throat. But if I say lights, camera, action, I'm shouting. But my throat is intact because I'm talking from here. So it's almost like you are clenching your stomach. Your stomach feels the pressure of what you're saying, and your throat doesn't feel the pressure as much. But if you notice that it's your throat that is doing lights, camera, you know you're talking from here. And it's not, you will be shouting. And then another thing is to learn the power of intonation and stress. So let me explain. There are some words that you stress. It's not the whole sentence that you sound on a high note. There are some points in the sentence that you can emphasize and then come back to your normal voice. So, for example, if you want to say, someone should give me a sentence. I love you. Okay, I love you is okay. I love you works, but I want a longer sentence. What do you say? I'm very tired. I'm going to the market. I'm very tired. Okay, I'm hungry. You know what? We are going to measure the sentences together. I'm going to the market. I'm very tired. I'm hungry. I love you. And you want to focus on I love you as the part where you want to shout. So you say, I'm going to the market. I'm very hungry. I love you. And then you keep talking normally. So you're not shouting in the entirety for the entirety of the sentence, because that way nobody's going to hear you. You're just going to shout. It will sound like you are shouting at them. Like, why are you shouting at me? What? Like, that's the reaction you get. But just understand where to place the emphasis. That's the first step. In the message, in what you are saying, where do you want to place the emphasis? If you want to place the emphasis on that particular phrase, that's where you now increase your tone. And then you come back to normal. Not if you, because shouting means emphasis. If you're shouting the whole sentence, that means you are, what's the problem? What's the issue? Do you understand? Does that answer your question? Okay, all right. Yes, okay, am I correct?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you look like my cousin.
Oh, really? What's your cousin's name?
Chuku.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
My first one is, how do you, in a layman language, how do you define or explain stage fright?
Okay. Yeah. So I should answer that first, right?
In a layman language,
how do you explain stage fright?
Yeah. How do you even fight it? Because you said breathe in, structure, connect. Now, I've been privileged to talk to some, but there are some places that where if the audience connects with me, I have this stage fright. Like, I'll start saying things and like,
oh wow,
I'll just have to try to comport myself, to put myself together.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me try and answer it this way. The first thing I would say is, I don't think you ever stop being nervous when it comes to speaking publicly. And the reason why you are nervous is because you care. You are nervous because you care about either the people you are speaking to, you're so passionate about what you want to say, or you just care. You're the kind of person that cares. That's where some of us, the reason why those emotions come and those feelings, because fear is an emotion, right? Fright is an emotion. The reason why it comes is because we actually care. We want to do it well. And so, because of the fact that you want to do it well, you will probably always be nervous. So the key is not to eliminate the nervousness or the nerves or the fight. It's to focus on something else. So one thing that will help is don't just think about yourself. Try and focus on something else. For example, one thing that helps, there are so many tips and tricks that can help, but one thing you can try is, when you're in a crowd, this is for physical gatherings, right? Look at that person that is paying attention to you alone. So, like, there are people in this room that I've not looked at today. Because their eyes not at me, or they're doing something, but there are people that I have looked at them. I don't want to point them out so that they will not feel shy. But there are people that I've been looking, like as I'm looking here, there's somebody here that I've paid attention to throughout. There's somebody here that I've paid attention to throughout. Somebody here. So it helps if you find that it's what I call your number one fan. It's like a number one fan syndrome. The person that is paying the most attention to you when you get on a stage. That's why sometimes you can go with your friend and let your friend be the person that's just encouraging you in the front and just smiling when they know what you're going to say. Just look at that person. Another thing is to look above people's heads. It's like, don't look at anybody, just look around. Like, nobody would know per se that you are not looking at them one-on-one. You're just seeing human beings. But there's nobody in particular that has your specific attention because you don't want them to throw you off, right? So I don't know if that helps. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
A little bit. Don't worry, I'm still going. So those are the things that help. And the thing with stage fright is you can defeat it before you get to the stage. No, not defeat it, manage it before you get to the stage. And even while you're on stage. I talked about things you can do while you're on stage. But before you get to the stage, honestly, breathing in helps. Telling yourself that nobody will beat you. Like, to be honest, and reaffirm yourself that I'm valuable. I'm worth paying attention to. And if you even need to say confessions like, I speak well, I speak excellently, I speak eloquently, I'm an excellent person, I'm a light, I shine. If you have to say it to yourself, it helps me personally. Because no matter the stage of life you're in, there'll be a point where an opportunity that seems bigger than you will come up and you'll now be afraid. So even if you've been speaking well all these years, maybe you get a very big opportunity. For example, let me tell you a personal story. And this one I'm actually going to tell. I've never said this outside before ever. So you are the first people to hear it from me. So there was a particular time I got a call for an event, and I always host events, right? It's not something like, oh, I'm just starting. I'm doing it for over 4 years. And this particular client was Glovo. You guys know Glovo? Glovo called me, and I looked at the agenda for the event. People that were there, the chief technical officer of Glovo from India, this person from this place, this person, the commissioner, the different commissioners in Lagos were going to be there. I said, Jesus. I was scared. I was afraid. I was so afraid that I was so paralyzed with the fear that I couldn't process. Normally, when I've spoken to the client, I've gotten the brief for the event, I've gotten the flow, the outline, what to start, what to end, how we will start, and all of that. I now start working on my script. I start putting together how I'll introduce this person. I start asking questions. I couldn't do anything. I was so afraid that day. Like, I can't even lie to you. I was so scared because I was like, this is global. What if I mess up? These people are really paying me to stand there and be talking. What do I know? I was so afraid. I was so scared. So guess what I did? To be honest, I called my friend. I told her that because normally I'm a person of faith. So normally moments like that, I just pray. I talk to God. I tell God, this is how I'm feeling. But I couldn't. Like, I was so afraid that the words were stuck in my throat. I really couldn't. So I told her. She told me that. She said, you know what? I'm going to pray. You just have to listen, right? I'll pray and you listen. And then once she spoke to me, and after she prayed with me and then she spoke to me, she told me that you got here not because of anything that you did, per se. Not because you're so special, not because you're so different, but because God is the one that has carried you to this point. So why do you now want to go by yourself and continue? Why don't you believe that He will carry you through it? And that was what changed it for me, right? That's what actually put. And then after that, I was not able to prepare. And when I prepared, and I wore this two-piece green suit like this. Oh my God. And I wore bob wig that was responding to my instructions. And I stepped into that place like this. And I just looked at them and I was just like, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to... Nothing you want to tell me. Even the commissioner, she was like, come down, our MC, come and take a picture with me. And I was like, oh yeah, I was just like, it was normal. Like, I was not the one I was like, oh yes, ma, I'm just going, oh, I want to go and snap the picture. Because it starts with your mind. Sometimes it's your mind. You need to believe that you are a big deal. You need to believe that there's something you have to give the world. Like, it starts from that mindset and that mentality. And sometimes you will grow in that boldness and confidence. But there are some opportunities that will come that will now shake you. But you need to remind yourself of how you got there. That you may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be. So you've made progress. So always affirm yourself before you get to any stage, whether you get a mic or not. Just let that, because the truth is people can smell fear. They can tell when you are afraid, when you are nervous. But when you come with a knowing in yourself, there's a difference. Like when I come to the stage, I know what to say. I know that when I say this thing, people will receive it. Do you understand? So stage fright sometimes comes from that mindset. You don't believe in yourself. You've not fully encouraged yourself, right? You've not reminded yourself of who you are. Then you've not practiced. Because even if after my friend called me and I was feeling better, I did not practice. I did not do anything. I didn't research. I didn't read about the company. I didn't read about the people. I didn't get their bios, understand the goal of the event. No matter how big of it, I will go there and will chew my mouth and I will say nonsense. And that's not what you do. To be excellent, you have to prepare. Do you understand? Does that help? Okay.
Yes.
You say you have other questions.
Yes.
Okay, somebody else wants
Maybe
to. Okay. Maybe we can talk after.
Yes.
I think my time is over.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Uchenna Aposyomi, and concerning what he said, he did not provide solutions to it.
Okay, which one?
And I'm not happy with the answer you gave.
Which one?
The stage fright.
Oh, okay.
Because I have a classmate.
Okay.
And this girl, anytime we're handling project defense like this, and she's on the stage, her own stage fright is very worse. Like she will be crying on the stage, and they'll be like, "Look upward, like above our heads, and let her just
not
confidence." And she'll be crying to the extent that she will just fall down. And everybody will be like, what is going on? They have tried to talk to her, even our counselor, even our guardian counselor in school, and everything is not working. So please, provide solution to that kind of person and how I can help her. I'm talking about, it's not only her, I know that there are 99 people like her. And also in my own case, I know that there are also 99 people like me. Because I will come on stage feeling so confident and all. But immediately I start looking at people, they will start talking something about me. And everything I have in my head will just be blown away. And I'll be like, you know, and it's not nice. So please, can you provide solutions to it to enable us to level up, like what the theme of the event is all about?
Okay. Thank you. Please, can we give her a round of applause? Because even as she was speaking, she was sounding very confident and very bold, and nobody told, and she did not have a script, right? You were speaking from your head, from your heart. Okay, so this stage fright of a thing, I think that, to be honest, there are different reasons why people are afraid. Fear is such a, what's it called? It's like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's an experience that is different for each person. For example, what I'm afraid of might not be what somebody else is afraid of. So if, for example, you are a kind of person that is afraid of heights, and me, I'm not afraid of heights. When I go to that high point, I won't be afraid. But you that are afraid, no matter what I say, to encourage you that nothing, you won't fall, this place is safe, blah, 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 blah. If that person in and of themselves has not been able to come to the point to ask themselves, why am I so afraid of speaking? So if she was here, if your friend was here, and I like that you're concerned for her, there's no one magic word that I'm not going to tell her. I'm to tell you that you now tell her that before you know, tomorrow she's ready to speak on stage, she's ready to do project defense. It's for me to really ask her, why are you so afraid? Sometimes we're afraid of things that will actually not happen. Maybe sometimes she's thinking that she'll fail, she'll forget what she wants to say. Okay, so if you ask her for every question you ask, for every answer she gives, you give a solution. So for example, if she says she's afraid that she'll forget what she wants to say, you now say, okay, let's practice what you want to say. You practice it. For somebody like that, the practice is not just a one-off. It's not, okay, you want to give context. You can give her the mic.
The kind of person that programs a loss. She has a lot of intelligence and knowledge. So the only thing is that stage fright. Immediately she just come on that stage, she will just start crying, her body will be shaking. Even my voice is already shaking because me, I don't even like, but I'm trying to be confident in my own way. You understand? But our own is very bad. It's honestly very bad.
I think it's a bunch of things, because the truth is that it's a bunch of things, and I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I have the 5 steps, 5 keys for her to never be afraid again. But the truth is, for example, cramming is not a great way to be a public speaker. That's the first mistake. And I'm speaking as somebody that used to cram. There was a time when, now you might not be able to imagine it, but there was a time when I was in university, and I was in University of Lagos. There's something we used to call mooting. They used to call it mooting. It's like arguing. It's like mock practice. It's like a practice of like moot court. Yes, I was in moot court when I was in school, and so there was this impromptu exercise they were doing in moot court, and they asked me to come out and speak, and I stood there and I froze. Like, I was like, why? I had to ask myself, why? Because the topic they gave me, first of all, I didn't know anything about it. It was a current affairs topic. I didn't know anything about it. So I was searching every file in my brain, but error 404, error 404, error 4, like nothing was coming out. So I was stuck. I felt afraid. It's not because I'm not a confident person. It's because I didn't know what to say. That's as simple as that. So there are some times when, for example, with the global, the example I gave you, I was feeling afraid because I felt like all these people were bigger than me. I felt like, what does small me have to say to these big people? But once I realized that they are normal people like me, they just want to have a good day, they want me to be conscious of their time. If I knew exactly what I was going to say and deliver it in the way that resonated with them, I built my confidence. And then I practiced a lot. So maybe one of the things that she's not doing is she's counting on when she gets to the stage, she'll know exactly, because she has crammed it, she'll know exactly what to say. But you can try telling her to practice what she wants to say without cramming. So one of the ways that you can do something without cramming is understand like the main points. Don't memorize it word for word. But instead, find out other ways that you can say it. See, one of the key ways to show that you understand something is if you can explain it in different ways. And if you can use different stories, if you can use different things to explain it. So maybe why it's happening that way is because she's memorizing everything word for word and she's forgetting. So once she comes, imagine if I came here and I memorized every single thing. Like I was memorizing, I was saying, communication is defined by... When I now come here, somebody should not squeeze their face at me. I will forget. And I will stand and I'll be like... And they'll be wondering what happened. It's not because I'm not confident. It's because I did not prepare well. I prepared wrongly. I was cramming and wanted to give information. If she should think about it as a conversation, maybe it will help. Does that? We can talk one-on-one afterwards so that I can really understand how you can help your friend. Do we have time for any more questions? No. Okay. But on that note, I want to encourage each and every one of you that regardless of your background, regardless of what stage you are in, what you're studying, what you look like, I want you to understand and embrace that your voice is your superpower. Your voice is your superpower, and you should not try to sound like anybody else. Nobody has the experiences that you have. Nobody has the perspective that you have. Nobody sees life the way that you do. So everywhere that you go, ensure that you go as your full, authentic self. Don't compare yourself, because that's one of the things that will stand in the way of you being a confident speaker, is if you're comparing yourself to another person, or if you're trying to sound like another person. But make sure that you always be yourself. To stand out, you must be yourself. All right, so thank you so much.